You ever watch a football game where the script rips itself in half and every single person in the stadium has to learn the new story in real time? That's exactly what happened in Detroit. The New York Giants saw a lead evaporate, watched Jake Bates drill a 59-yard field goal to force overtime, and then Jahmyr Gibbs took the first handoff in OT and turned it into a 69-yard touchdown that ended the game 34-27. It was sudden, brutal, and by the time the confetti thought about falling, the Giants were left holding a season that keeps tilting the wrong way. Reuters. The numbers make it feel even weirder. The Giants piled up yards, creative plays, and what looked like every chance to close it out, then saw Detroit answer in the space of a few plays. Gibbs finished with video game-style production, ripping off long runs and putting the Lions on his back when it mattered. That 69-yard OT sprint wasn't a fluke. It was an exclamation point on a night when Detroit's offense found a way to gas the clock, gas the tempo, and gas the Giants' resolve. Reuters against all. And the finish had a late twist you'll be replaying. With under a minute left after a Giants fourth down stop inside the red zone, the Lions didn't panic. They marched into range, and Jake Bates amazingly converted a 59-yard field goal to tie it and send the game to overtime. That kick flipped the emotional ledger and set up Gibbs's walk-off. If that kick misses, you write a very different Sunday. Instead, Detroit turned desperation into DetroitLions.com. Inside the Giants' locker room and across their social feeds, frustration snapped into the open. Malik Nabers, sidelined all season after tearing his ACL in Week 4, briefly vented on social media, posting a now-deleted message accusing the team's late-game choices of being borderline self-sabotage. Sometimes I think they be making us lose on purpose. The post called out decisions like choosing not to run the clock down and going for it in the red zone instead of taking a safer field goal wedge. And it captured the exasperation a lot of fans and players are feeling right now. Nabers deleted the post quickly, but the sentiment didn't disappear. Yahoo Thethau. That bubbling anger makes some sense when you look at what this loss did to the calendar. The Giants are now officially eliminated from playoff contention, the math no longer a frustrating possibility, but an absolute. The season has been a slow bleed. Close games lost, a defense that cannot close, and a front office in motion. And the elimination simply turned worry into fact. It's the kind of milestone that forces conversations about roster redraft, coaching direction, and whether patience runs out sooner than anyone wants. ESPN.com, let's be fair about the performance level. Jameis Winston and the offense actually did their part to make this one entertaining. Winston threw for big yards, Wan'Dale Robinson had a career-type day, and the Giants used trick plays and creativity to get leads. But football isn't a highlight reel contest. It's a ledger. When your defense can't finish a drive and one mistake at the goal line hands the other team a chance to tie, the ledger evens out and sometimes tips the wrong way. That's what happened Sunday. Big Blue View. For Malik Nabers personally, there's the added human layer. He's been rehabbing a torn ACL and had surgery, with optimism from team insiders that he'll be ready for the start of next season. Watching from the sideline, seeing the team lose in a way that looks avoidable, and then venting, deleted tweet and all, is understandable. Injured players live on a different news cycle. They'll brag about coming back, they'll quietly dread this kind of collapse, and they'll sometimes let frustration out because being sidelined and seeing what you believe are avoidable losses is maddening. ESPN.com. Where do the Giants go from here? Practically, you start with truth. Evaluate the tape without sentiment, decide what's salvageable this season as a development slate, and prepare the roster for a reset. Interim coach Mike Kafka's aggressive calls have been a flashpoint, sometimes genius, sometimes questionable. But after this loss, the organization must ask whether the current path matches the talent in the locker room. If you're honest, this is a team that needs clearer identity, better defensive answers, and fewer late-game collapses. Big Blue View. For fans, it's a hard pill. You root for the small growth, you cling to the flashes of competitiveness, and you still want tickets for next season because hope is therapy. For players like Nabers, it's more complicated. Rehab the body, manage the brand, and watch a franchise you care about make decisions that sting. Social posts deleted 5 minutes later tell you everything you need to know about how raw the feelings are. Adults delete them because they remember there are consequences, but the thought, that stays. Yahoo Tetao. The bigger NFL takeaway is less about one team and more about how fragile late game margins are. One defensive stop, one missed tackle, one special teams miracle like Bates's 59-yarder, and the whole narrative flips. If you're building a contender, you build depth, red zone discipline, and a defense that makes the game simple late. The Giants' season shows what happens when those elements aren't reliable. Detroit's home crowd got the script they wanted. New York got the kind of lesson that franchises learn slowly and painfully. Reuters thought, final thought, anger is a short-term currency, and it buys reactions more than answers. Nabers' deleted post lit up a truth most of the locker room already knows. This franchise is broken in specific ways right now, and the way forward is boring but necessary. Methodical roster work, hard decisions, and an organizational reset toward fundamentals. If you want the emotional headline, it's simple. Sunday was a gut punch. If you want the sober one, it's equally simple. Fixing this will take time, clear leadership, and the kind of patience that's harder to sell when the scoreboard keeps being cruel. ESPN.com. He posted it, then deleted it, but the screenshot lives forever. From the sideline rehabbing a torn ACL, Malik Nabers watched the Giants blow a chance to close out the Lions, and in a raw, furious X-post that he quickly pulled down, accused the team of playing like it wanted to lose. Sometimes I think they making us lose on purpose. Football common sense. Am I missing something? That little digital shout cut through the usual post-game spin because it felt like something a player would say when frustration finally boils over. This wasn't a small loss. New York led late and still wound up deadlocked with Detroit in overtime, where the Lions pushed the winner across, and a 34-27 final sent the Giants to an early elimination from playoff contention. The defeat officially knocked New York out of the postseason race and left the roster and its fans staring into a long, uncomfortable winter. ESPN.com and Sinhalech demedified. The context makes Nabers' anger easy to understand. He isn't tweeting from the couch as a disinterested fan. He's a player who suffered a season-ending torn ACL in Week 4 and has been rehabbing ever since. Watching a collapse from the sideline changes the way everything lands. Every questionable call feels personal because you can't help thinking, what could I have done? Or worse, what are they doing? His injury adds a layer of bitter distance to a post that otherwise would have read like a hot take. ESPN.com. What set him off was a specific late-game sequence. The Giants had the ball inside the Lions' 10-yard line with time to seal it, but the drive stalled. A missed target, a stuffed run, another short yardage failure, and then a decision to pass on fourth down that came up empty. Detroit went the other way, engineered field position, and eventually